Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Simona Palladino, and I'm a lecturer at Liverpool Hope University in the School of Social Sciences. And today I'm with David Wurawa. Hi, David.
Hi, Simona.
And
Thank you so much for inviting me to this wonderful lecture. Appreciate it
thank you
very much.
so much. Thank you so much for being with me and for accepting this invite. I'm delighted to have you here. And I'm delighted to introduce you to my students because today David and I we will talk about racism and social division based on race. And this is part of one of the modules that I'm conducting at Liverpool Hope in the School of Social Sciences. Dave Wurawa is an actor and an executive producer. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself, your career, your journey so far?
Well, I'm pretty much. I don't have an exciting story about being an actor. I don't know. My take on it is probably I was an actor in my past life, so it kind of just rolled into this one. You know, I grew up surrounded by stories. I was born in Zimbabwe, which is a Southern African nation that's between Botswana, sandwiched between Botswana, South Africa, Mozambique, and Zambia. This is I think we got a little bit of Namibia on the corner as well. But it's that's how I grew up. And as you probably know, African history, most of our people, we carry our stories. So our stories are passed on from one person to the other. So performance is pretty much kind of natural thing for Africans. It's just that we do not have the platform to express that in such a clear manner. And also we do not have such brave investors of African extraction that support that kind of culture. But everything in time, and everything will find its way. Always find its light. So I grew up in Zimbabwe. I spent some time in the United States. I spent a lot of time in the UK. I've been pretty much all over the world. I toured with a theater company. I've worked on televisions, movies, TV shows, radio plays. So I'm pretty much I've done pretty much most of it. Everything, I've done everything you can do in the sense of acting. And I'm still enjoying it and I'm still learning. Funniest thing about it is I'm still figuring out that, hey, at my later age in time, I'm actually understanding what I'm doing in a much more clear sense. You know what I mean? I'm pretty much beginning to really get into my stride, as you would say. So, and now I'm based in Vienna, in Austria. So I'm working pretty much globally from here. I work in the Germanic speaking countries, either in German or in English. And also I had the opportunity to play in your country, which are in Italy. And, and I should be in Italy actually in a week in Puglia for a movie that I'm shooting over there, and then it's going to continue on to Guatemala. But my point is I'm here in Central Europe, and this is where I'm kind of based at the moment.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, David.
Mm-hmm.
And now let's move on to what will be the main topic of our conversation today. I just want to know your opinion about underrepresentation of Black people in film production. What do you think about?
Well, it's not a mistake, and it's not it's not something that just happened in a natural form. It's something that has been feels like it's been strategically designed to function that way. You don't forget that I'm going to talk about it. Europe is where I'm based. In the Germanic region during the Second War, and even prior to that, there were rules and laws that were put in place to make people that look like me or Jewish or any other race that was considered inferior were not allowed to play certain roles. And this pretty much applies almost today. It probably not legally, but in some way it is psychologically there. Take, for example, there is a clear case of a gentleman called Goebbels. He had a girlfriend, and she was an actress of Czech extraction. And she played all the vixen roles, you know, the girl that sleeps with everybody, the loose woman, you know, she could play that because all the Germanic women were not allowed to play those roles because they were too pure to play those kind of roles. So all the other dirty human beings could play all these other cold, so dirty roles. Now, so this is nothing, pretty much, it's not a mistake, and it's not something that's happening out of the blue. It's something that is strategically in place. And if something is strategically in place, it needs to be strategically taken out of place, right? Now it applies to the sense that people are used to a certain system and a certain way of doing things. And as much as we would like to think that arts have a certain sense of freedom, no, arts are pretty much, they're very territorial artists. Yeah, there's a territorial kind of sense to everything we do. There's a protectiveness about everything. And in culture, especially in the culture that I'm based in, that I work in, there is that sense of protecting our culture in a way. I'm putting that in quote unquote sense, that there is that sense that we should not dilute our culture, because this goes back to this, the dilution of the blood when you mix with certain colors and certain cultures, the dilution of the culture when you mix with certain cultures and certain things. This illusion that is very still powerful today, and it's pretty clear. And you can see it in the movies and the stories that are currently being told on a daily basis, where you have TV shows and movies that are just homogenous in a certain, that's it. There's no, as if story of the history is set in stone in that sense. You can apply to most of the period pieces that you see, that applies. So, so in a way, the system is functioning according to how it was designed. You understand? You feed the beast, right? And it gets bigger. It's just the way it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm wondering about if, for example, how basically racism operates in film production, and if you or anybody you know have had experience of discrimination, for example, that you might want to share with us.
Oh yeah, I mean, sometimes you wonder if it's conscious, and sometimes you wonder if it's just subconscious. I have been on many of films and TV sets where I'm usually the only Black person, you know, in front or behind the camera. It doesn't matter, you know. And this is pretty strange, because the children of color or Black children do not go into these fields because they feel misrepresented or underrepresented. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like when you see somebody that looks like yourself doing something, it encourages you to do something. Either you're female or male, fat, thin, it don't matter, you know, old, young, you know, something gives you the impetus and the motivation to do something, to do better, right?
Right.
But when the iconographies that you see, let's say as a Black child, do not include you, you feel that it is something you shouldn't focus on. You know, you feel something is missing, you know, because iconography is very important. You know, how you see yourself, how you visualize yourself is very important. And storytelling is very important, whether it's real or fantasy, because self-celebration is a very important part of your psyche and your cultural growth and human growth, right? So when you don't see yourself celebrated in the forms, you tend to think less of yourself. You understand? And you bring those that are most celebrated to a higher plateau than your own. You know?
There is a sort of dissociation. Sorry if I'm interrupting you. There is a sort of dissociation between who you feel you are and the lack of representation, so you can't identify with anybody, with any characters in the film.
Most definitely, because you need identification. Now, it doesn't matter. Look, it might be, you might look up to somebody who's of a different race, but it's how they approach you and come across to you, that gives you that impetus to grow yourself. You understand? If somebody respects you and listens to you and is aware of your fortunes and misfortunes, and he's cool working with that, then you feel comfortable with that person, and that person is interested in elevating you without being afraid of who you are or who they are, or without trying to impose themselves on you. Then you always feel that you are given room to grow. It's like everything else. Like if you plant a seed, if you don't feed it and water it and de-weed it, it's going to choke, right? It's the same thing, unless it learns to adapt. But when it adapts with the sense that it is much stronger than everything else around it, and it's pretty much kind of like a colonial type of way of thinking. So I'm thinking, so the discrimination I have seen is there are certain characters that one comes across, especially if you're an artist, if you're a Black artist, that are tailored just for you. They tailored in the form that they're two-dimensional. I don't mind playing a thief, but as long as I understand why he's stealing, why is he a thief? What made him? And I don't mind playing an immigrant, but I want to know what made him an immigrant. Why is he here? What is his drive? What motivates him? I don't mind playing a wife beater. What's making him doing that? What's the reason? What has turned him into that? That teaches, so which means in some ways, I don't mind wearing socially constructed characters that might be deemed not so superheroes, but in some way, when you come to think of it, everybody's a hero of their story, as long as the story is complete, right? We see all sides of the story. And that's, for me, I'm the type of artist. I'm the type of artist that do not mind as long as I know the complete story of this character that I'm playing, and I'm allowed to express that, But when I'm told that, well, you're going to come in here and play the wife beater because you're Black, that doesn't tell me anything. That's insulting, actually, because in some way, I'm not the type of person that wakes up and looks at myself in the mirror and go, oh, gee, I'm Black. It just doesn't apply to me, It doesn't apply to a lot of us. It's something we don't pay mind to. And the whole idea that we have to consider ourselves Black actors, this kind of like giving ourselves the Sisyphus of a Black actor, and the others are just actors. It's in its own kind of bizarre. It's really bizarre in some way or other, So yeah, there is that, but at the same time, there's a lot of changes and a lot of inroads have been made, and a lot of positive things are happening in my beautiful craft and my beautiful industry, where people do not care about the race. They notice it, they respect it, but what matters is what you can do and what you can bring to the table, and how you understand the character that you're playing. And of course, that way you can demonstrate your talent. And for me, I've been lucky enough because the universe loves me in a very interesting way. It has always steered me towards directors and producers and filmmakers that do not feel threatened by the other, that always feel that we learn from each other, So that, for me, I've been very blessed in that sense, that I always seem to attract the kind of filmmakers that are very confident in what they do, and they're also confident in what I can bring to the table.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, David.
You're very welcome.
Are stressing this importance of not having fear of the others, and also respect people and their talents regardless of any differentiation. So thank you. And this lead to my probably final question, that is, what's next? So what can we do actually to tackle this kind of inequalities and discrimination in society? What do you think is the message that we want to spread out the word? What?
Well, I think listening is very important. You know, I think sometimes when you step back and you put yourself in somebody's shoes, that doesn't mean to say pity them. It means listen, you know, a little bit of more empathy. I do the same, you know, I step back and listen and watch and okay, what is this person trying to tell me, right? And then out of that, I can learn something or I can take what I need to grow, you know, and then I pass on the lesson. So listening, number one, is very important. And number two, to know that this fear is something that you learned from somebody and from somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've learned to fear, you can learn to not fear, right?
Yeah.
So this, yeah, so we are here to teach each other. My respecting you and loving you gives me the power to respect and love myself, right? In that way and it passes on and on and on. And also, as we are artists, we need to be a little bit more creative, right? Creative in the way we look at the world and creative in the way we feel. Because the world I live in is it's a world that is populated by all kinds of different people, different races, different religions, different sexual orientation, different social status, all kinds. And this is what makes it beautiful. You know, this is what makes it beautiful. There's these differences. There's this kind of, so I'm always learning from somebody, from different people. So we need to embrace those differences, notice them and embrace them and learn from them, then hide from them. Or trying to say, oh, I don't see that. See it, learn from it, and then we move on, you know? Three, see, I'm counting backwards now. Three, I think it's four. Anyway, 4 or 3, something like that. I think it is very imperative that we bring more creators of different race and different genders into the program. That could be writers, directors, cinematographers, editors, sound masters, you name it. The whole kind of field needs to have that kind of encouraging, inclusive encouragement. I have a production company called Cacanators Pictures, and this is from what I intend to do with my first project. We are casting this project with the first thing in mind, the talent, and second in mind, we do not care what race you are. We embrace the fact that you have a different race and a different gender. We want those parts and those things in the projects. And on top of that, respect. We need respect each other. Respect doesn't mean to say capitulate. It means respect. Respect means I want to hear your point of view. You hear my point of view. And out of that point of those point of views that are being presented, we all come to a learning phase, period, you know, something that moves us forward. You know, there's something that we used to do in improvisation that always stuck with me. It was that to continue with the story in an improv, you have to accept the fact that you have to say yes and, yeah. So if you're doing a scene, you have to say yes and. Now it's the same thing in life, you know? You say yes and, which means you're expanding the debate, you're expanding the community, you're expanding the possibilities, you know? This is what we need to learn, to expand possibilities. And the other thing is, I do not wish to be the type of person that is to be tolerated. Being tolerated it feels like, you know, you have a broken leg and you tolerate the pain, or you have a nasty smell in your house and you can't fix it, but you tolerate the smell. No, it's not about being tolerated. It's just about, you know, people extending the same respect and rights they extend amongst themselves towards other people, towards other communities, towards other ideas. It's, you know, that for me is a good ethos to work with.
Yes, thank you, David. Indeed.
You're welcome.
I really appreciated your points, especially about the value of the diversity and
Right.
the importance of respect to one another. So thank you so
Mhm.
much. I
It is very important, especially nowadays where people just think just having an opinion is the only thing that's important. But even if it's not a factual opinion, as long as you have an opinion, then that's fine. No, opinion don't mean shit if they don't have any facts. Excuse my French. You know, everybody can have. You know, the old saying. Everybody has opinions. I like because everybody has a.
We are not allowed to say this. That's a lecture, and we are.
That's why I only went like, I wasn't, I didn't want to get into the
Yeah.
into the nastiness of it. But I tell you something, I'm not dissuaded at all in my craft. I'm not. I'm actually very motivated because, like I told you, I seem to attract people that have the same mindset as I have. Or when I attract new people, they have a mindset that I'm obviously supposed to learn from, right? Yeah. So in a way, I believe universally there is a change that's happening. And this change is people coming to terms with the fact that, that we are diverse, and that's what makes us beautiful. Look at the trees. Trees, you have different types of trees, but it's a tree. And they live beautifully together, and you have we need to celebrate that beauty of that diversity. This is very important because it's what makes us unique, what makes this planet unique. Look, I'm not a astrophysicist or a physicist, but I can assure you that there isn't a single planet next to us that has the beauty that we do. That, you can travel in 100,000 years in any direction, maybe you'll find something, but right now our heaven is here. This, it's right here. We are in the heavens. It has everything we need. We just have to protect it and respect it. And that starts with us. And it continues into us. Yeah.
Thank you, David.
You're very welcome, Simona.
Our student will appreciate this, and thanks so much for us.
Well, if they have any questions and you want to do, I feel free to let me know. And if you want me to do,
I would really love to extend this invite to you for next year to come and visit us and our beautiful campus. And
I would love to do that. It'd be an honor. I would definitely. It's an honor. Really? And I'm in right now. As the COVID situation is, and actually for me, this COVID situation is just an incredible opportunity where the human beings, we are given this a chance to slow down, to think, to stop and look around and really think, okay, what are we doing? Where are we going? And this is what this opportunity is, to stop and look around next to each other and right next to your partner, your friends, and everybody around you. And you think, okay, what is my contribution? Where is this? What am I doing right now? It's given us this chance to do that. And, the regeneration of the mind, as you would think, but thank you so much, Simona.
Thank you so much for this message of hope as well. And I hope
it's a fact. It's really a fact, because I truly believe that there is nothing on this planet that was set for us to fail. Not in any sense, especially us human beings. We should not be aiming towards making other people's lives uncomfortable. We shouldn't. That shouldn't be our goal. We should not celebrate people that have that type of mindset. We shouldn't.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We should make our contribution to make this world a better place in which.
Yes, because it is beautiful. It is a beautiful planet. There is no doubt about it. It is beautiful and it is perfect in all its imperfections. And we all have that, you know, and it's in us. It's just a matter of accepting and then expanding. Yes, and.
Absolutely agree with that. Dave, thank you so much. I will stop the recording for our students and
Okay.
again to you. Thank you for your time and
You're very welcome.
lovely words.
Well, I want to say thank you to the students and thanks for taking the time to listen to me, to my ramblings. And I hope, you know, we have I've imparted some little knowledge, and I wish to come and visit you at some point, and maybe you could impart some knowledge to
We're
me.
an honor for us to have you here. Thank you so much,
My
Dave.
pleasure. All right.
Bye.